and welcome to the post-Trump-matic stress recovery program. And today I just feel, like singing. When they change lanes, rearrange names, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite memes, and then I don't feel too bad. Yeah, right, sure. When the egg price really not nice, and I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite memes, and then I don't feel too bad. With the gas cost, girl's choice lost, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite memes, and then I don't feel too bad. Yeah. Hey, Robert Francis Kennedy Jr. Here's a picture of him about to use karate to slap down the measles virus. Just kidding. Also known by his initials, RFKJR, is an American politician, environmental lawyer, author, conspiracy theorist, and anti-vaccine activist serving since 2025 as a 26th United States Secretary of Health and Human Services. He was a champion of saving the planet and great at environmental protection and litigation. He should have stayed in that lane. So Robbie has taken a stand against stratospheric aerosol injections, which he believed tainted the atmosphere with toxic materials by our own Department of Defense. He was going to do everything in his power to stop it, until he learned that the white trails of jets are water vapor. So since 2005, Kennedy has promoted vaccine misinformation, public health conspiracy theories, including the chemtrail conspiracy theory, HIV/AIDS denialism, and the scientifically disproved claim of a causal link between vaccines and autism. He has drawn criticism for fueling vaccine hesitancy. Kennedy Jr.'s failure to uphold scientific truth, quote unquote, makes him unsuitable for a position overseeing children's health and welfare. So Kennedy promoted multiple conspiracy theories related to COVID, including false claims that Anthony Fauci, that evil villain, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, also evil, were trying to profit off a vaccine in May of 2021. Kennedy petitioned the FDA to rescind authorization for all current and future COVID vaccines. Look, if my uncle and my dad were both assassinated, I might come up with a hell of a lot of conspiracy theories and other bullshit to try to make sense of the world as well. But I would hope to God that nobody would appoint me to run and make policies that I was delusional about in the first place. But wait! Now I remember. Author and futurist Alvin Toffler wrote in 1970, "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." Toffler was the author of Future Shock. That righteous certainty is surely a killer now, isn't it? Damn, am I being righteously certain here? Maybe, sometimes, perhaps. Call me on it. Another guy to think about is Dr. Lawrence J. Peter, of course, originally from our former friend, Canada. He's quoted as saying,
"In a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to his level of incompetence."
I believe that may be an accurate assessment, as is when he observed that the reason so many employees are incompetent is that the skills required to get a job often have nothing to do with what is required to do the job itself. So the skills required to run a great political campaign have little to do with the skills required to govern. But how do we recover from this? After all, this is a PTSR channel, the post-traumatic stress recovery channel. In the past episodes, I've advocated for very civil forms, very polite forms of disobedience. I stress civil and polite, all in a very conservative and even libertarian tradition of protesting autocratic control of and by the federal government and endorsing our own states' rights for autonomy. By the way, also freedom from corporate and oligarchy negligence in terms of being good for nothing, deadbeat, freeloading slackers that don't pay their fair share of taxes. As well as, thanks to the current administration, being able to both poison us and charge us more for products that poison us as they do so. Bye-bye, EPA, bye-bye. So if you think that some or many of the 147 executive orders so far, there are probably more now, and 50 proclamations so far are unconstitutional, then encourage your state's attorney general to sue. And I'd like to recommend that you don't cooperate with any federal actions that compromise your health, welfare, and integrity. I'd like to recommend that. However, we've learned that any such recommendations that go against the infallible will and benevolence and loveliness of Donald J. Trump will be considered treason. WTF, please don't cooperate with nonsensical, immoral, unethical, crazy bullshit that hurts you, your family, your community, and your values and ideals. Please don't, because they hurt this country we love too. And those of you who work for ICE, for Homeland Security, for the DOJ, for those still employed by the federal government, I know you gotta make a living. I know you gotta feed your families. And yet, our actions should not be dictated by fear and hatred. Or by Fox News, by the way. Look, boys and girls, does the magic mirror tell us today of all of our friends who have fun at play? Yes, they do. Hey, I see Oingo Boingo FBI Dan, and get off the phone Pete H. And tough Tulsi National Intelligence Director with an onlooker saying, surprise me, say something intelligent. And I see Keith Kellogg, special envoy to Russia and Ukraine, showing how Ukraine starting the war it's not a lie, it's a fun-sized fact. And Mike Huckabee, ambassador to Israel, shucking another product to bring peace and rest to the Middle East. And placebo was proven to be more effective than Relaxium, by the way. And I see Morgan Outrageous, envoy for peace to the Middle East too, with her resting rich diplomatic face. And there's Michael thinking of ways to help destroy the environment through bastardizing communication for the EPA. And another friend, Sarah Carter, Director of National Drug Control, describing the new presidential directive ordering a larger size for Big Macs. And Magic Mirror, here we have Pam Bondi, head of the Department of Justice, threatening the U.S. Constitution and condemning same-sex marriages, a former Attorney General of Florida who refused to sue Trump University for fraud. They were sued and lost. As well as former lobbyists hired by Qatar. She also may be saying, the plane, boss, the plane. Look, it's the plane. And then we have the President's Press, Stepford Secretary, Caroline, leave it, truth at the door. Yeah, she believes that Donald Trump is the greatest president and man alive. Here she is offering some idiot reporter asking an insightful question, offering them that very same door. And least, but by no means the last, Tom Homan, border czar, who is seen gleefully selecting some small child to be deported. Hey, I don't want CNN reporters and contributors to be running my country either. Hopefully, they wouldn't want to. Then again, anyone and everyone who wants to serve their country must be thoroughly examined. Serve your country? Like, who are you serving it to? Russia? Billionaires? Oligarchs? multinational corporations? Shouldn't we serve all the people? What are you serving it for? And how are you serving it? I got some ideas. Being good. I'd best serve my country, my family, my friends, and my faith, all with my actions. Another quote from the evangelist Billy Sunday: going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to a garage once a week makes you a car. Love is an action. I would suggest the best ways to love and serve would be to practice the following behaviors, traits, and attitudes. Here's some different human being traits to practice. Compassion without pity. Florence Nightingale. She left behind her wealthy lifestyle to care for soldiers during the Crimean War. Her passion and commitment and intellectual brilliance empowered her to change the history of nursing. Pride without arrogance. Nelson Mandela is famous for his role as an anti-apartheid revolutionary and political leader in South Africa, particularly for his 27 years of imprisonment for his activism, and for later becoming the country's first democratically elected president. Humility for its own sake. Albert Einstein, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King. You know these guys. Adaptiveness without placation. John McCain. He was a conservative, but he earned his maverick reputation because when it came to seemingly intractable problems like immigration and money in politics, he believed it was necessary to work with the other side, even if it meant bucking his own party. Honesty without righteousness. Diogenes, ancient Greek philosopher, is known for his extreme ascetic lifestyle, and he founded cynicism. He famously rejected societal norms and lived in a large ceramic jar, I don't know why, and carried a lantern in daylight in search for an honest man. Humor without depreciation. Well, we miss you, Robert Williams, although you did depreciate some people. Knowledge without idealization of said knowledge. Noah Webster and his 1828 dictionary. Look it up. The ability to both follow and lead. A healthy disrespect for unnecessary pain. William Thomas Green Morton was an American dentist and physician who first publicly demonstrated the use of inhaled ether as a surgical anesthetic in 1846. A healthy disrespect for both martyrdom and tyranny. Yes, it's George Washington. If you don't read history, at least go see the musical Hamilton, okay? A healthy respect for the intent behind behavior. Viktor Emil Frankl was an Austrian neurologist, psychologist, philosopher, and Holocaust survivor who founded logotherapy, a school of psychotherapy that describes a search for a life's meaning as a central human motivational force. A genuine liking of human beings. Wait a minute. I didn't mean for lunch, more like this. Part of this liking is being able to see the good in others, all others. A genuine liking of oneself. Ditto in being able to see the good in oneself. The ability to hold a position that maintains integrity and to let go of one that simply maintains ego. Erik Erikson's main theory, another wonderful psychologist known as the theory of psychosocial development, poses that personality develops through 8 distinct stages across a lifespan, each characterized by a specific conflict that must be resolved for healthy development. So to let go of simply maintaining our ego and grow our esteem, we need to build on our ability to trust, be self-directed, take initiative, to be industrious, to have a sense of self, to be defined by our values, to be able to be intimate, both vulnerable and caring with others, to create and accomplish and to feel satisfied with all the above in our lives. A capability to accept and admit to uncertainty and limitations. Most suffering is a resistance to unnecessary pain. Uncertainty allows us to acquire new knowledge, and uncertainty is also about being non-judgmental. Owning our limits can also help us acknowledge other strengths. Thich Nhat Hanh. Another trait to work on is an equal capability to embrace certainty and strength. Navy SEALs embrace both their strengths and vulnerability as well. And their phrase is, if you can't fly, then run. And if you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving forward. Also, an openness, receptivity, and natural warmth. There you go, Brene Brown, again. Google her. She's really cool. Well, that's all I've got for today's show. I want you to lead with respect, follow with compassion, rinse and repeat. And thanks for showing up. For these ideas and more, check out my books. The Paradox Bridge, Suggestions in Life for Those Who Live with the Critically Controlling, for Kindle and paperback editions, as well as Audible for the audio edition of Directions in Life for the Occasionally Confused. You can also get directions for free if you're an Amazon Prime member, all through the oligarchy of Amazon.com. All proceeds will go to making sure I can hightail it out of the country in the event of being targeted by the current administration. Thanks for showing up.